Kai and I are presenting on Roman mythology.
And I'll be starting off with the geography of Rome. So Rome is in the Lazio region of central Italy. It is located on low ground and has good proximity to the sea, which they use to their advantage. They had many seaports and used and fished a lot for food. They also had fertile soil and used crop rotation. There are many seas surrounding Rome. You have, of course, the Mediterranean Sea, the Ionian Sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea, and the Ligurian Sea.
And then when it came to Roman mythology, instead of being concerned with the nature of the gods or theology or the actual scientific beginning of the universe, also known as cosmology, they were more concerned with rituals and augury and institutions. And also rituals played a major role in the religion. For example, human sacrifice was part of their one of their rituals until 97 BCE when it was outlawed by the Roman Empire.
So, how did Roman mythology come to be? Roman mythology is a blend of ancient Greek myths and existing religions of ancient Italy. Many doubted that they had much of a native mythology, since that most of their religion and most of their mythology is based or related to Greek mythology, which included their gods. So the Roman gods, there are many just like Greek, and they all are very similar. But the main ones are Jupiter, or Zeus in Greek, who is the king of the gods. The eagle was his messenger, and his weapon was the thunderbolt. Then you had Juno, or Hera, who was the goddess of women and marriage. She was married to Jupiter. Then you had Apollo, the god of the sun. Apollo was, each day he drove his chariot across the sky to give light to the world. Then you had Neptune, or Poseidon, who was the god of the sea, and his trident was his weapon. Then you had Pluto, or Hades, who was the god of the dead. Many Romans were afraid to say Pluto's real name because they were afraid that he might notice them and they would die. And then you had Diana, or Artemis, who was the goddess of the moon.
Yeah, so the gods are a perfect example of how the two mythologies sort of mix together and the Romans don't actually have their own native mythology. And then again, more on Roman mythology, the empire was reshaped and expanded as the population increased. And the perfect example of this is the myth called the Rape of the Sabine Women. In Rome, there was a shortage of women, so they needed to actually find women from other tribes so that they could have more kids so the downfall of Rome would not occur. So they invited the Sabine tribe to a festival. At this festival, the men were killed and the women were abducted and raped. The men who survived went back to their home tribe, came back with their king, King Tatius, and then they came back to fight for their women. The women actually halted the violence and said, "No, we are happy where we are." And at that point, the Sabine tribe and the Roman Empire became one, with the Roman Empire being the more powerful and was in charge. Roman myths focused more on politics, morality, and personal integrity and how that relates to one's role in society. And to go along with that, they treated their myths as historical, although they were supernatural. A perfect example of this is the myth Romulus and Remus.
Now, Romulus and Remus were twins. When they were born, the gods plotted to kill them, so their mother put them in a basket and sent them down the river. They were found by a female wolf, and the wolf nursed the boys until they were found by a shepherd. As adults, they built a city where the wolves had found them. However, they fought over the city, and Remus was killed. And Romulus single-handedly found the new city and called it Rome, and that's how Rome was created.
And here's a picture of Romulus and Remus, and you can see Romulus and Remus. You can also see their mother. You can see the stream that they were sent down, and you can also see the wolf and them nursing. Important times in Roman mythology or the Roman Empire is in 510 BC, Rome went from having a king or a queen in power to having elected officials, which therefore there was more democracy in Rome. And then 31 BC, Rome governed all the lands in the Mediterranean Sea and of Northwest Europe. And then in 20 BC into 20 AD, Virgil wrote Rome's national epic, the Aeneid, and this drew on myths and linked the city's founding with Greek deities and legends. And then also a big myth at that time was Metamorphoses, written by Ovid, and this collection of northeastern Greek myths that Rome had adopted.
So Romans, they interacted with their gods in several different ways. First was public or private worship. So in Roman religion, every household had its own personal spirits which protected it. These were called lairs, and they were the spirits of the family's ancestors. And priests were very important in Roman religion when interacting with gods. The two most important aspects of priests were the augurs, who were priests that had been elected for life. They were the only ones with authority to read the interpret signs from the gods. Also, Romans built many temples where they prayed and tried to speak with the gods. A very famous one is the Temple of Zeus, which is still located in Rome today.
All right, and here's a picture of a place where Romans would worship. And here's our works cited along with our image credits. Thank you. I hope you've learned a little bit about Roman mythology.
Thank you.